Today in pro wrestling history, today we celebrate the birthdays of Michael White, Michael Graham, Tony DiNucci, Jeff Cannonball, referee Richard Head, Alex Lee, Adam Pearce, and the wrestler known as Zeus. WWE NXT will celebrate their 200th episode on NXT on this day in 2016. Double J Jeff Jarrett returns to TNA on this day in 2015. The All Night Express win the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships on this day in 2012. Taylor Wilde wins $25,000 plus the TNA Knockouts Championship on this day in 2008. Johnny Nitro will become the ECW World Champion on this day in 2007. Candice Michelle will become the WWE Women's Champion on this day in 2007. Cheerleader Melissa wins the All Pro Wrestling Chick Fight 5 tournament on this day in 2006. Bret Hart suffers a stroke on this day in 2002. Ultimate Warrior would verse off against Owen Hart. This would be Ultimate Warrior's last match with the WWF on this day in 1996. Harlem Heat will become WCW World Tag Team Champions on this day in 1996. The WWF held their second class induction, which inducts Ivan Putski, the Grand Wizard Ernie Roth, Antonio Rocca, Georgie Animal Steel, Ernie Ladd, Pedro Morales, who has never received his award due to he was a Spanish announcer for WCW at the time, and the Fabulous Moolah, all on this day in 1995. Tommy Carroll will become the NWA North American Champion on this day in 1995. ECW present Hostile Showdown on this day in 1994. Brian Lee wins King of Kentucky tournament on this day in 1993. The Southern Rockers, Rex King and Steve Dahl, become WWC World Tag Team Champions on this day in 1992. The Los Villanos, 1, 4, and 5, become UWA World Trios Champion on this day in 1990. Chicky Star will become WWC World Junior Heavyweight Champion on this day in 1989. The Fabuloso Blondie will become the NWA World Light Heavyweight Champion on this day in 1988. Tatsumi Fujinami will become the IWGP Heavyweight Champion on this day in 1988. Shiro Koshinaka will become the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion on this day in 1988. Johnny Smith, the Stampede British Commonwealth Mid-Heavyweight Champion on this day in 1988. The Great Betrayal, Mr. Wonderful would betray Hulk Hogan on this day in 1986. Bota the Witch Doctor become the AWA Southern Heavyweight Champion on this day in 1985. Chris Adams and Gino Hernandez will become the NWA Texas Tag Team Champions on this day in 1985. The Rougeau brothers and the Garvins, Jimmy Garvin and Ron Garvin, would start a feud on this day in 1985. Al Kanaka will win the UWA World Heavyweight Championship on this day in 1984. Wahoo McDaniel will become the NWA United States Heavyweight Champion on this day in 1984. El Sino will become the UWA World Welterweight Champion on this day in 1979. Roddy Piper will win the San Francisco NWA United States Heavyweight Championship on this day in 1978. Vern Gagne and Ray Stevens will become the AWA Tag Team Champions on this day in 1977. El Hakan will become the Mexican National Heavyweight Champion on this day in 1976. Jackie Fargo will become the NWA Southern Junior Heavyweight Champion on this day in 1974. Big Time Wrestling held Parade of Champions on this day. On this card, Boris Malenko and Johnny Walker became the NWA Florida Tag Team Champions. Abdullah the Butcher became the National Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Champion. Stan Stasiak became the NWA Texas Heavyweight Champion. And Billy Ray Lyons became the NWA American Heavyweight Champion, all on this day in 1972. Ripper Collins became NWA Hawaii Heavyweight Champion on this day in 1970. Luis Hernandez and Pedro Morales become WWA World Tag Team Champions on this day in 1966. Alan Kobeck become the European Welterweight Champion on this day in 1964. Tokyo Tom become the NWA Texas Heavyweight Champion on this day in 1964. Duke Kiyomuka and John Tolos become the NWA Texas Tag Team Champions on this day in 1958. Buddy Rogers beating Bozo Brown will become the World Heavyweight Champion on this day in 1950. George McLeod will become the Ohio Heavyweight Champion on this day in 1936. Bobby Roscoe will become the World Welterweight Champion on this day in 1925, and that is it for today.